Hey everybody, what is up? I hope you're loving life. It's time to practice the argument essay, so let's do it. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to walk you through the argument essay from the beginning until you hit that submit button. So you have 25 minutes to write the essay, plus 5 more to submit. But if we can be real for a minute, this really isn't an essay. There's no intro, there's no conclusion, there's no contextualization. You're just answering the prompt. So there's a thesis statement, 1 sentence, and there's 2 paragraphs about evidence. That's it. So don't let that word essay get in your head. There's really nothing to be worried about. So let's jump right into it. This is pretty much exactly what it'll look like. This is the 2019 argument essay, slightly edited to align with the changes for the 2020 exam. Pause the video and read the entire page, both the prompt and the instructions. We're going to focus on the prompt for now. It says, develop an argument about whether the expanded powers of the national government benefits or hinders policymaking. So we only have 2 choices. Either expanded powers of the national government benefits policymaking, or it hinders it. Some of you might immediately have a gut reaction to this prompt because you personally favor or oppose a stronger national government. But don't commit yet. First, let's think about the documents that they've given us to choose from. Take a couple of minutes before you start writing. For each document, think about the main things you know and figure out how it could connect to supporting or opposing a stronger national government. By the way, I have great videos that will help you know your required documents inside and out, so make sure to check those out. Let's start with the Articles of Confederation. Okay, we know that the national government established under the Articles was very weak. It lacked the ability to tax, and it couldn't regulate interstate commerce. We also know that they're usually thought of as a failure, and that the Constitution ended up empowering the national government more than the Articles did. Based on that, I think we might be able to use the Articles of Confederation as a document to argue that expanded powers of the national government benefits policymaking. We can do the same thing with Brutus Number 1. We should know that Brutus was written by an anti-federalist who opposed ratifying the new Constitution, hint hint. Brutus acknowledged that the government under the Articles wasn't ideal, but he strongly opposed the new Constitution, because he argued that the national government would be far too strong. He believed that the necessary and proper clause would allow Congress to do literally anything it wanted to do. He thought the power to tax would be used to oppress the people. He said that the supremacy clause would lead to the national government dominating and eventually destroying the states. Clearly, we can use Brutus Number 1 to argue that expanded powers of the national government hinders policymaking. Last up is Federalist Number 10. We know that the Federalist Papers were written in support of the new Constitution. So that gives us a good idea that this document would be used as evidence in favor of expanding powers of the national government. Specifically, Madison argues that a larger republic is the best way to control the negative effects of factions. He says that in smaller republics or democracies, like states, majority factions will tyrannize minorities and trample their rights. At this point, you're probably pretty sure which side you feel most comfortable with. But don't forget that you need 2 pieces of evidence. Before you start typing, you should know exactly what those 2 pieces of evidence will be. By the way, when you decide what your 2 pieces of evidence are, it's probably a good idea to write those down real quick so that you don't forget. This second piece of evidence can come from anything in your knowledge of AP government. It can be from another document, listed or unlisted, one of your required cases, or simply anything that you know from AP Gov. The only thing it can't be from is the document you used for the first piece of evidence. Personally, I'd suggest that you try to use a document or required case as your second piece of evidence if possible. But if not, that's okay too. Oh, last thing before we start writing. Look at the prompt again, and this time focus on the last few words. They matter a lot. The prompt doesn't want you to argue that expanded national power is either good or bad, but rather that it benefits or hinders policymaking. Now, this probably won't change which side you're going to take, but it should absolutely affect how you write it, because now you need to specifically address policymaking. Alright, prep time is over. Let's start writing. Remember, there's no intro, so go straight into your thesis statement. You already know this from my other videos, but there are 2 things you need to do to earn this point. Make a claim and establish a line of reasoning. There's no partial credit, so you have to do both parts. And if you don't earn the thesis point, you're looking at a max score of 4 out of 7, so you gotta get this point. Here's how I want you to write your thesis statement. I know it isn't exciting, but I promise it's effective and efficient. Take the words straight from the prompt. Here are two versions of the thesis statement. Since you're typing this year, I suggest that you even use bold and underline like I've done. Make it as easy as possible for the reader to find your points. I've been an AP reader for 6 years, and trust me, this helps. Now, notice I don't say much after the word because. This isn't the evidence. Just show the reader that you've put some thought into why you chose the side you did. You have time to elaborate later. And that's your entire first paragraph. Make a claim, establish a line of reasoning, and get out of there. The clock is ticking. Now that the thesis is out of the way, we have to support it with two pieces of evidence. The first of which must be from either the Articles of Confederation, Brutus Number 1, or Federalist Number 10. Each new piece of evidence will be its own paragraph. Skip a line and begin by identifying which document your evidence is coming from, and make the document name bold. Again, make everything easy for the reader to find. You can earn up to 3 points in this paragraph. This sentence earns the first point for identifying an accurate and relevant piece of evidence, that the Articles created a weak national government. Now you have to describe that evidence and show how it's relevant to the prompt. This sentence earns the second point because it describes the weak national government set up by the Articles, referencing the prompt by addressing policymaking. The final point in the evidence paragraph is to use reasoning to explain why your evidence supports your thesis. Remember, when you're told to explain, you need to elaborate and provide evidence or give an example. These sentences thoroughly show exactly how the weaknesses of the national government under the Articles supports your thesis, that expanded powers of the national government benefits policymaking. And the response closes the loop, essentially restating the prompt at the end of the answer, showing the reader that your response was on task. Okay, last up, your second piece of evidence. This is your third and final paragraph. Skip a line and let's do it again. These sentences earn the first point for providing an accurate and relevant piece of evidence, that Federalist Number 10 argued in favor of a stronger national government. And this gets the second point because it describes Madison's argument against empowering state and local governments and clearly links this idea to the prompt. These sentences build on the previous ones by explaining how the evidence from Federalist Number 10 supports the thesis, and it also closes the loop. And that's really it. When you finish, make sure to proofread. It's really easy to have a typo or to miss a word here or there, so make sure you proofread before you submit. I hope this helped. Until next time, this has been a LaMoney production. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, hit that like button so the YouTube algorithm will show me some love. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and check out the Ultimate Review Packet if you're looking for some great study guides and more to get ready for this exam. See you next time.